Here we go. This is Dr. B and
Mrs. B.
Podcast, Empty Nester Lifestyle Podcast Show. This is podcast show number four. What do you think about that, Mrs. B?
Well, we went with number 1. We wanted to see how it went. We went to 2, and we said this is turning into something pretty good. And now we went from 3 to 4.
And thank you, Mrs. B. And we want to thank our listeners from the United States, particularly North Carolina, Virginia, Iowa, New York, Ohio. We want to thank all our listeners and the podcast platforms for downloading us at Apple Podcasts as well as Player FM. Thank you so much. And Podbean, of course. So, as you know, our podcast shows really gets to the feelings of what it's like to be a empty nesters. And this podcast show is a very serious one. Here is the question. Mrs. B, how do you feel about the passing of President Jimmy Carter as an empty nester?
Thank you, Mr. B, Dr. B.
It's fine.
And you're a mister. But Dr. B, this is how I feel. And you mentioned Mr. Jimmy Carter. There's history there. As an empty nester, I'm sorrowful, I care, and there's gratitude, respect, and honor in Mr. Jimmy Carter and First Lady Rosalind Carter. Both are deceased. Empty nester lifestyle, in terms of how I live my life now and how we've lived our life through the Carter time period, whether it's further before or afterwards, the long legacy left a mark for all the world of kindness, caring, multitude of benevolence, generosity. Always been around my family in some form or fashion for a number of years from the South, in the educational initiatives, Emory University, the Carter Center in Atlanta. So there are fond memories there and caring memories there. I wish the Carter family sympathy and empathy, my condolences, and the best in all the world, and my sincerity and authenticity. So as empty nesters, we have a long history memory of the Carter family.
Thank you, Mrs. B. Again, this is about feelings, and this is a national event. The official ceremony will happen tomorrow, Thursday, at National. And this is an issue I wanted to bring up because as an empty nester and as a baby boomer, President Jimmy Carter was the first president that I voted for as an 18-year-old kid going to college. I have to say that because that was an important rites of passage for me to do my first vote as a person with the right to vote, and I decided at that time to vote for President Jimmy Carter, for candidate Jimmy Carter at that time, who happened to become president, one-term president, but his through his presidency and then after his presidency, what he was known for, what he's done over the decades, is to give his time and effort to other folks. As my dad told me years ago, he was a peanut farmer who became governor, who became a renowned Navy personnel, and really gave his life to the common folks, and married his wife Rosalind for 75 years. And he also gave back to Habitat for Humanity for so many organizations. So my major words are sadness and sorrow. Sorrow that he's not recognized as well as he could have been as a president and as an entrepreneur, but also as a philanthropic individual who just cared for the average person. So my words are sadness and sorrow. Any other words, Mrs. B?
That exactly is my sentiment also, and my prayers. And they
Indeed.
cherish their religion and their Baptist religion,
Their faith.
and their Christian faith, as well as they're peaceful with all kinds of religions of
Yes.
kindness for all their lives.
Yes. Thank you, Mrs. B. Again, a special podcast show. How do you feel about the passing of President Jimmy Carter as an empty nester? With that said, any last words, Mrs. B, again?
Keep the peace in the world. Be thankful for what you have and who you are. And know the people around you. Reach out and care. The world needs a lot more care and coming together.
Thank you, Mrs. B. Blessings to everyone.
Blessings to everyone.
Peace out.
Peace out.